Good evening, everyone. This is your news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. This is your. I think I already said that. Anyways, in case I didn't, this is your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day. I definitely already said that. Anyways, hopefully, you guys are doing well. This is the last, and I mean the very last episode on this computer. Next episode, or tomorrow's episode, will be on the completely new computer. We're done with the shitty one. Hopefully things change. Hopefully things get better. I know it is going to be a little hot, so that's probably also not going to help. But hopefully things change and get a little better for the quality of the content. Of course, the new laptop is now sitting in my room, waiting, or I've already set it up. This is the last one on this computer. Figured, might as well. But hopefully all you guys are doing well. I know I say that a million times at the start of every episode, but subscribe if you're new. Let's get into the news. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, the first topic we have is Trump has ordered for a new census. Trump has instructed his administration to work on a new census. According to Trump, the census will exclude millions without legal status inside of the United States, which goes against the 14th Amendment as it requires the whole number of persons in each state to be included in census numbers. According to the Constitution, Trump does not have the authority to call a census. In his Truth Social post, he wrote, I have instructed our Department of Commerce to do a I've instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin to work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results of and information gained from the presidential election in 2024. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Based on the presidential election of 2024 is kind of crazy, I won't lie. I mean, this entire situation is 100% wild, and this likely will be used to, remove the voice of millions throughout the country just for being brown, genuinely just be based on the color of their skin. Trump is trying to assert his control over all branches of government, including the judicial and including, the House and the Senate. And that must not be allowed because that removes the voice of the people. The people need a voice and they deserve to have one, so they must fight back. Make sure you vote when midterms come around to keep your voices loud because nobody should have to lose their rights in this country. In other news, Trump has threatened to send the National Guard into Washington, D.C. and take over local police. Trump has threatened to take over the entirety of Washington, D.C. and said he might use the National Guard to help do it. He was asked by a reporter about taking over local police as well, and he said the option is on the table. He was asked by a reporter about taking over local police as well, going on to say, we're considering it, yeah, because the crime is ridiculous. He also said, what a shame, the rate of crime, the rate of muggings, killings, and everything else, we're not going to let it. And that includes bringing the National Guard maybe very quickly, too. I feel bad for DC. So many people live there, and they don't have the state rights necessarily needed to protect themselves, which is, sucky. It really is. I mean, not to mention, they also have more population than the state of Wyoming, and I'm sure so many other states within this country, like Washington, D.C. very, very well should be a state, and it's crazy that it's not. Genuinely, it is. They deserve full rights and operations to be a state and act as a state. They even have a higher population than most states. I just said that, but it's the truth. Like, Washington, D.C., out of all places within the United States, should be a state, genuinely. In other news, the Air Force has denied long-term trans service members retirement benefits. The U.S. Air Force has announced all transgender service members who served between 15 and 18 years taking early retirement option will lose all of those benefits. This means transgender service members now either must take a lump sum separation payment or be removed from the service entirely. An Air Force spokesperson said in a statement, although service members with 15 to 18 years of honorable service were permitted to apply for an exemption to the policy, none of the exemptions to the policy were approved. Because of this, a dozen service members were prematurely notified that they would be able to retire when they did so. The attack on trans people by this administration is absolutely fucking bullshit. Time and time again, for doing nothing but existing, trans people have had shots taken out them, not even just in this administration, but throughout the world. And it's really not okay. Like, people are just existing out here and they're dealing with attacks on a daily basis. That is fucked up on another level. I mean, you're telling me somebody who devotes their life to serving the country for damn near 20 years doesn't get retirement benefits? That's fucking bullshit in my mind and should be in yours too. Anybody who serves in this country, anybody who has the balls to fight in their country's military, balls as a, engulfing term, if you will, should be able to get those retirement benefits and should get those retirement benefits. It should be in their right to do so. Like, nobody should be removed or nobody should be denied what they get for retiring because of what's in their pants. That is absolutely bullshit. Genuinely. Trans rights are humans' rights. Fuck Donald Trump. Moving on into our ICE segment today, Trump has reassigned FEMA workers to ICE. A number of employees within the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, were informed by an email late Tuesday night that they had been reassigned to ICE as an employee. The workers had 7 days to accept this reassignment or be removed from their job. According to officials, those reassigned had a year left at FEMA and were probationary employees. These employees are now essentially being forced to lose their job or work for ICE. Forcing people to work for ICE is honestly absolutely insane. It really shows how much they are struggling to recruit, troops day after day. Genuinely, if you have to force people to work there, you probably aren't a good company, and maybe you should stop. Genuinely, it is complete and total bullshit that this group continues to attack our citizens, attack our people, and force people to work for it. Like, that is insane, genuinely, and it needs to be ended. 1 second, please. Had to spit. Sorry. In other news, moving on to our next topic, a judge has halted the construction of the Alligator Alcatraz facility. A judge has issued an order halting the construction at Alligator Alcatraz. The judge said, in addition to the lighting, paving, fencing, and fill, and along with other buildings being built on the site, all construction must be stopped while she hears a change to the facility brought by environmental groups. However, detention operations will remain for the time being. Environmentalists argue the facility looks to harm local wildlife and more, as it even risks killing off the dying population of panthers within the state of Florida. This could possibly lead to the end of the facility, which needs to happen. It is a concentration camp and needs to be shut down. This facility will ruin the lives of thousands if it isn't, and we must make sure it is. Not to mention, we're putting so many things at risk here within the environment. The Florida panther population is very low. I believe it is between 120 to 100 or between 120 to 200, or somewhere around there, which is very low. And we have seen so many populations of animals die out within recent years due to climate change when that shouldn't be the case. So not only should we be working to protect human rights here, but we should be working to protect animals and be protecting the environment. We shouldn't allow just an entire species of animal to go extinct because we want to house people in a swamp. That's fucking stupid. So protect the environment and fuck ICE. Moving on to our other news segment, the FBI is going to work to locate Democratic officials. The FBI has approved Senator John Cornyn's request to locate Texas Democrats who have fled the state to avoid redistricting. Texas Republicans sent a letter to the FBI on Tuesday asking for assistance to punish the Democrats amid battles. Cornyn said, I am proud to announce that Director Kash Patel has approved my request for the FBI to assist state and local law enforcement in locating runaway Texas House Democrats. I thank President Trump and the Director Patel for supporting it and swiftly acting on my call to the federal government to hold these supported lawmakers accountable for fleeing Texas. We cannot allow these rogue legislators to avoid their constitutional responsibilities. Watching this all play out really makes me think, how much longer is this going to last? It honestly worries me. The photo ops from this will 100% be insane if we see anyone in cuffs, um, but I doubt we get any of that. This entire situation as a whole is wild. Democrats are fighting redistricting, and Republicans are pushing to illegally redistrict the state and take away the voices of millions. Truly, we don't know what's going to happen, and it's terrifying. So, if you're in Texas, make sure to take a stand. Make sure to speak out for what you believe in, because this isn't okay. Genuinely, it isn't. In other news, Florida Republicans will start redistricting. The word redistrict is coming to Florida, as State House Speaker Daniel Perez said Thursday that he would be creating a committee to look at drawing new House districts 7 years ahead of schedule. Perez said in a memo, exploring these questions now at a mid-decade point would potentially allow us to seek guidance from our Supreme Court without the uncertainty associated with deferring those questions until after the decennial census and reappointments. Democrats are going to have to fight hard if they want to win here. It's crazy to think about where Florida is right now. It feels like not too long ago they were a blue state. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case. Needless to say, all people who moved there didn't have the greatest impact, to say the least. Hopefully that can change. Hopefully Florida can return to that state it was during the Obama elections. But right now that doesn't look to be the case. Moving on into our final topic for tonight, a Utah senator changed the consent laws for a family member. A Utah Republican Senator Stuart Adams used his power in 2024 to change the state's consent laws after an 18-year-old relative was charged with 4 first-degree felonies for raping a 13-year-old girl. According to Salt Lake Tribune, Adams' relative was arrested in 2023, and Adams at the time said he was surprised by the severity of the charges. Under revisions he made to Utah law, if the defendant is 18 and both parties are enrolled in high school, the defendant will be charged as a minor instead of an adult. Because of this, his family member, instead of serving 25 years, only served a week and doesn't have to register as a sex offender. This is insane and essentially corruption 101. I mean, you're telling me this relative did a crime and got out of it because a law was changed? That is fucking wild. Genuinely, fuck that. Actually, anyone who touches children should serve lifetime sentences. Without a doubt, I mean, they should not be allowed to walk the street. No question. Those people are the pinnacle of the worst in our society, and it shouldn't be allowed. They are a problem that needs to be brought down. They really are. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you're on YouTube, please consider subscribing, dropping a like, dropping a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on all the news from today. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I would really appreciate if you could help me get there. If you're on Substack, please consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They'll help me pay for the things that I'll need to pay for in college, like clothing, food, and all those kinds of things. If not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. It means the world to me. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in tomorrow's episode. Later.